And Scott Wiener comes out, he goes, "No, you can't. Suck it. Sorry. Haha. No way. You lose." She goes, "But I respect things that you've done." "Nope. We're forcing dudes into your locker room and your bathroom, and I don't care that some man has beaten you in the past. Doesn't bother me. Trans rights are the most important thing." Scott Wiener. Scott Wiener, who is best known as the California legislator who reduced punishments for pederasts. This is older men who rape young boys. It's statutory rape. We want to be fair to Scott Wiener. Older perverted men who prey on young boys. He wanted to make sure, as a matter of justice, that he would reduce their punishments. He also, what was the other thing he did? He reduced the punishments for people who knowingly spread AIDS to people, HIV. Yeah, that's his political legacy. So Scott Wiener seems to have one particular obsession. He's sitting doing a town hall kind of event, and a woman comes up. And, well, I'll just let you listen to the interaction.
Senator Weiner, as the only black lesbian here, can I please ask you a question because I flew here to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. As a lesbian woman who was attacked in the women's locker room at Gold's Gym this week by a self-identifying trans woman with a documented history of domestic violence, I'm deeply concerned about women's safety in female-only spaces. What would you say to women who are seeking assurance that their safety will be protected from men who, by California law, can self-ID as women in women-only spaces, sir? Please tell me.
Yeah. So we want, everyone to be safe, and we also know that we have trans people, both men and women, who are men and women, and so so if you're trans women are women.
Senator, you've done great things.
So this woman, listen, even that, I cut it off there. She goes, "You've done great things. I agree." This is a liberal woman, a relatively solid Democrat constituency, lesbian, black woman. It's not like his, big Bubba right-winger coming out there smacking down Scott Wiener. This is one of his constituents. And she says, "Hey, she's at least insinuating, I've experienced domestic violence. There are women-only spaces for a reason. And what if I don't want to have to, get changed in front of a man? What if I don't want to have to use the bathroom next to a man? What if can I have any, the whole reason we have women-only spaces to begin with, can I have any protection?" And Scott Wiener comes out, he goes, "No, you can't. Suck it. Sorry. Haha. No way. You're not. We're forcing transgenderism on everybody. You lose." She goes, "But I respect things that you've done." "Nope. We're forcing dudes into your locker room and your bathroom, and I don't care that some man has beaten you in the past. Doesn't bother me. Trans rights are the most important thing. What we say goes." So, sorry. That's what he's saying. Look, it might, in his race, it might work out fine. This is the issue that started to unravel the entire Democrat Party. That's it. It was a major issue in 2024. And that it's also an issue where this woman, who's clearly very liberal, very much on the left, that's the kind of issue that makes her think, man, maybe I misjudged this Trump guy. Because I got this deviant freak who's running for Senate or Congress or whatever he's running for, Scott Wiener. And I got this freak out here telling me that he's going to force me to get naked in front of men. And I don't know, Trump, I don't like everything about him, but he doesn't make me do that. Right now, go to bravebooks.com/Knowles. Everyone says, get out and vote. That's how you change the country. Sure, that's really important. But America's future does not just lie at the ballot box. It's in your own home. The left has known for decades that if you can just capture the hearts and minds of the kids, you can change the course of the future. That's why it's so important for us to teach truth to them when they are young so they don't fall for lies as they grow. That is one reason that I'm a big fan of Brave Books. They help families teach timeless values through engaging stories that kids actually love. Each month, you get a new book that reinforces a pro-God, pro-America value like courage, honesty, and love of country. Everyone even has conversation starters and games to bring the whole family together. I brought home 10 new Brave Books the other day. My kids lost their minds. They loved it. There were even little stickers in there that they were then putting on everything. It was great. It was great. With their new streaming platform, Brave Plus, you will have a whole library of wholesome, trusted shows and movies vetted by real parents. That's another one. My kids love Iggy. They love Iggy and Mr. Kirk. Okay. It's terrific. Right now, you get all that free with your subscription. If you really want to make an impact, not just for one election cycle, but for generations, go to bravebooks.com/Knowles. Use code Knowles, Knowles, for 20% off your first order. bravebooks.com/Knowles. Use code Knowles. Now, there's an interesting point she's raised. A lot of times when you hear the arguments against the transgender ideology, it comes from this place of, well, some women have suffered domestic violence, and so we don't want women to get beaten up in the bathroom, in the locker room, so that's why we can't have transgenderism in public life. It's another version of when you hear, well, we just love women's sports so much. Women's sports, the most important issue to conservative Republicans. We just need our precious women's sports. So that's why we can't have transgenderism in public life. And it's so ridiculous. The reason that we can't have transgenderism in public life, or that we should not, is because it's false. It's completely ridiculous. A man can't be a woman, and it harms everyone involved when you pretend that he can. It harms the people who are confused. It harms everyone around them. It makes the society engage in lies. It's ridiculous. That's why. And sure, women should have their own sports leagues if they want, I guess. I don't care. I don't care. No one watches women's sports. Sometimes women's tennis people watch. I like female athletes. If they like their sports, they can, sure. And furthermore, yeah, we need to protect women from being beaten up by men. Absolutely. Which pertains to the women's sports in as much as we're talking about boxing or UFC or whatever. But yeah, generally we need to protect women from being beaten up by men. But that's not the main reason either, because it's a relatively minor issue in the broader scope of trans-identifying people going into the bathroom. When the left tells us that, oh, come on, they're not really that violent in bathrooms or aren't that many. Generally, that's true. It does happen. In fact, Daily Wire broke the story of the Loudoun County rape because of a gender-neutral bathroom policy. So it does happen for sure. But yeah, I'll give it to the left. You're right. That it's not happening 100% of the time, that's for sure. Which is why I think we all need to be a little bit honest and say the reason that we don't want transgenderism in public life is because it's just ridiculous and fake and false. And it creates disorder and lies. But there was a great tweeter, Esther C. Kraku, who made this point. Said, why do women always have to cite sexual domestic violence to justify single-sex spaces? Shouldn't I don't want to share a changing room with a man be enough? Yes. Preach, sister. Preach. That's how I feel about even like gender-neutral bathrooms. Things that happen in bathrooms are gross. And I don't want to be around women who doing that. And I don't want to do that myself around women. That's gross. A little mystery is nice between the sexes. Yeah, it's gross. That should be enough. But the reason it's not enough is because of the feminists, I'm sorry to say. It's because the feminists argued for decades, they campaigned for decades on invading men's only spaces. For decades, they came and said men are not allowed to have their own spaces. You see this especially with private clubs, but elsewhere too. They said, no, wherever a man can go, women need to go too, except when it's inconvenient for us. And so this is a problem. Men have figured out a workaround, by the way. The workaround to that rule is cigar lounges. That is why. Look, I go to cigar lounges because I like cigars. I love cigars since I'm 15. But another reason, and a reason that I think a lot of people who are not as obsessed with cigars go to them, is because it allows men to like hang out with each other and talk with relatively few women, if any, around. That's why. And it's nothing against women. I love women, as you know. But sometimes, to Esther's point, sometimes women want to spend time with women. Sometimes men want to hang out with men. Men and women are different, right? Right? Isn't that ultimately the objection to the transgender ideology? Isn't that ultimately why support for same-sex marriage is declining? Isn't that why people have turned against feminism, why feminism has made women unhappy relative to men and in absolute terms? Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe the feminists should not have invaded every male-only space. Because this is the chickens coming home to roost, and they are hoisted by their own petard. But that's fine. We should stop it, for sure. We should chill out with that, no question about it. But it's, guys, come on, let's follow these ideas to their logical conclusion. Give men their private clubs back. And give women their locker rooms and their spaces back too. That was a great clip. Stop. Subscribe. How much better do you feel now? See you next time.